So when God told Moses to deliver his people from Egypt, he told Moses to tell Pharaoh to let my people go so they can serve me. Today, God hears the cries and sees the suffering of his people. And just the same way he took the time needed to prepare Moses to face Pharaoh, God has been preparing a remnant of his people who will be diligent in this season to lift up the rod of God's word in the face of the enemy and deliver God's people. One of the things God told Moses to tell Pharaoh was that he was putting a division in the land between his people and Pharaoh's people. And the reason was there were curses being released in Egypt as a result of Pharaoh rejecting God's people, rejecting God's command. And so God was protecting his people. This is why we need to remember there is nothing new under the sun. And this is why for centuries, God has made sure there were people here on this earth to protect the Bible. And this is why it was important for me to share and lift up the fact that the Quran says it was written to confirm the scriptures that were written before it, because the Bible is our instruction manual for life, but also in reading the signs and what's happening in the world today. So what's happening in the earth is that the earth is on course, the same as God was on the move back with his people in Egypt. The earth is on course to bring a new heavens and a new earth, to deliver God's people from this present world of suffering and oppression. This is not a time for us to be afraid. This is a time for us to get our hope up and to recognize that our deliverance is near and to prepare. So the same way God told Pharaoh he was making a division between his people and Pharaoh's people, God is reminding us that today he is doing a separating work between those who will be his sheep and follow him by obeying his commands or the written instruction of his word, or those who will be goats and continue to reject his commandments or his word. We're also being reminded in this season that God has only ever required one division between his people, his creation here on earth. And that was between the believer and on the other side, the unbeliever. Not all the divisions that we have in the world, and especially among those who identify as members of the Christian faith. That dividing line has always been love. And love is another component and characteristic of our identity that is under attack by the enemy. So we said earlier that God's people are suffering a severe spiritual identity crisis. And so the next message, we will define what love is.